You know that feeling, right? That powerful, sometimes beautiful pull of desire. I mean, it's this fundamental human force, this thing that feels so incredibly alive, so motivating. But what is actually going on under the hood of this thing we all experience?
And here's the catch. As amazing as desire can feel, the source material points out that if we don't really get how it works, it can become this quiet chain, something that locks us into a cycle without us even noticing it's happened.
So, okay, let's unpack that. First up, we're going to dive into the nature of desire itself. We're going to see how this powerful force, the one that keeps our minds kind of restless all the time, is actually born from a process that's surprisingly simple and totally natural.
So, how does a desire even begin? Well, it's basically a four-step sequence. First, you see something you like. Second, a feeling of pleasure arises. Third, your memory, like a little computer, instantly records that connection. And then, fourth, thought kicks in and says, hey, that was good. I want that again. And that's it. That's the seed.
Now, this whole process is perfectly natural. There's nothing wrong with it at all. The real turning point, the game changer, is repetition. That one little thought, I want it again, starts playing on a loop, and that turns a simple, fleeting impulse into an active, ongoing chase.
And right here is the fundamental conflict. See, the pleasure you get from anything, a great song, a delicious meal, it's always temporary. It's momentary. It comes and it goes. But desire isn't happy with that. It wants to make that fleeting moment last forever. It wants continuity, which is basically a chase for something that's impossible.
And before you know it, this whole chase gets completely tangled up with our sense of self. It stops being about just wanting a thing or a feeling, and it becomes about our identity. We start defining ourselves by what we have or what we've done. I'm the person who has this. I'm the person who achieved that. The wanting starts to feel like who we actually are.
So once our identity gets tied up in this, the ego has a real stake in keeping this game going. Because without a want to chase, the ego can feel, well, kind of thin, almost empty. So to keep feeling solid, to feel real, it just keeps generating new desires, one after the other, just to maintain that sense of self.
And this whole thing builds into a cycle that just feeds itself. You know, it's not a straight line where you get something and you're done. No, it's a loop. This is the mechanism that gets us stuck, that has us running in circles when we think we're moving forward.
Just look at how this loop works. It starts with a desire. That desire leads to effort. The effort leads to achievement, and with that comes a flash of pleasure. But notice how brief it is, because it's followed almost immediately by a sense of emptiness, which then triggers, you guessed it, a new desire. And the whole cycle just starts right back up again.
And this is the question that fuels the entire machine. Even when you win, even when you get the thing you were chasing, the mind doesn't rest. It immediately asks, okay, what next? That question is the real source of that constant low-level dissatisfaction, that feeling that we can never just be still.
Okay, so we've kind of diagnosed the problem. But what's the solution? Is there a way out? This next section is all about a path to freedom, but it's not about what you'd think. It's not about fighting or willpower. It's a totally different approach.
So we have two different ways we can go. The one we usually try first is suppression. We try to fight the desire, to push it down. But all that does is create this internal war. And anything you push down just comes back stronger, right? The other path is understanding. And it asks a totally different question. Can you just watch the desire without becoming it?
The first practical step is incredibly simple, but it is so powerful. The very next time you feel a strong desire pop up, just pause. Don't rush to act on it, but also don't rush to push it away. Just create a little pocket of space and time.
And in that little pause, just observe. What are you observing? Well, three things. Notice the image that the desire creates in your mind. Feel the actual physical sensation it creates in your body, that pull, that tightness. And then just watch the raw urge to do something. That's it. Just be a neutral witness to the whole show.
See, the real power of desire is that it runs on autopilot, unconsciously, in the background. The moment you bring your full conscious attention to it, when you really watch it, it starts to lose that automatic grip. You're bringing it out into the light, and its power just starts to fade.
Now, let's be super clear about what freedom means here. This isn't about becoming some kind of robot with no feelings or desires. Not at all. It's about changing your relationship with them. It means desire no longer controls you. You can still enjoy things, but you can do it without that desperate clinging. You can still act and achieve goals, but without that restless, endless chase. So if we're not constantly chasing desires, then what's left? What's on the other side? Well, this is where we discover something that was actually there all along, just buried underneath all that noise. And that something is joy.
And the distinction between the two is so important. Desire is noisy. It's always yelling for your attention. It's something you chase, and it always depends on getting something outside of you. But joy? Joy is silent. You don't chase it. It just appears when the mind gets quiet. It doesn't depend on anything. It simply is.
So here's the invitation. Don't try to fix your entire life or get rid of all desire. Just try a tiny experiment. Today, just pick one desire when it comes up and just watch it. From the moment it starts to the moment it fades. Without any judgment, just see.
You don't even have to force anything to change. The simple, gentle act of seeing, that's enough. You'll find that in that pure observation, that tight grip of the desire, that tension, it just starts to loosen all by itself. Because when the mind isn't constantly running, constantly chasing, it can finally rest. And it's in that quiet, from that place of rest, that a whole new kind of clarity begins to emerge.